Every story has a beginning. And behind every headline, every unanswered question, and every case that leaves people searching for the truth, there is a human story that deserves to be remembered. Welcome to The Dark Evidence. This is a channel dedicated to exploring real cases, mysterious deaths, unanswered questions, and the evidence surrounding stories that continue to capture public attention. We look beyond the headlines. We examine the known facts, the timelines, the statements, and the questions that remain unanswered, while separating verified information from online speculation. Because when someone's life becomes a mystery, their story should never be reduced to a headline. And today, we're turning our attention to someone whose story has touched a growing number of people. Nolan Wells. But this video is not simply about an investigation. Today is different. Today, we're remembering Nolan on what would have been his 19th birthday. On August 19, 2026, while many people were celebrating the life Nolan should still have been living, his family gathered in prayer and remembrance. His mother, Christine Wonsley. His father, Elmore Wonsley. Family members, friends, faith leaders, and supporters. They came together not only to remember Nolan, but to honor the young man behind the headlines. So before we talk about the unanswered questions surrounding Nolan's death, we're going to take a moment to remember the person at the center of this story. This is the story of Nolan Wells' 19th birthday. A day that should have been a celebration, but instead became a day of prayer, remembrance, and a family's continuing search for answers. This is The Dark Evidence. August 19, 2026. For most families, a 19th birthday is supposed to be a celebration. A birthday cake. Candles. Friends and family gathered together. A mother calling her son to wish him a happy birthday. A father hearing his son's voice. But for Christine and Elmore Wonsley, August 19th became something painfully different. It was the day their son, Nolan Xavier Wells, should have turned 19. Instead of celebrating his birthday with him, his family gathered with hundreds of supporters in Biloxi, Mississippi, to remember his life, pray for answers, and continue calling for transparency surrounding his death.
Happy birthday, Nolan. Happy birthday, happy birthday, Nolan. Happy birthday, Nolan. Happy birthday.
The Wells family marked Nolan's birthday with a national day of prayer and a public vigil. And at the center of it all was one simple message. Remember Nolan. Say his name. And don't let his story be forgotten. Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old college student and athlete from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Before his name became connected to a national investigation, he was simply a young man living his life. He was someone's son. Someone's friend. Someone's teammate. Someone's brother. And to his parents, he was their child. The family photographs released publicly show Nolan in his football uniform during his time at Ocean Springs High School. That is the Nolan his family wanted people to remember on August 19th. Not simply the teenager at the center of an unexplained death. But Nolan the person. Nolan the son. Nolan the young man whose future was supposed to continue. On July 4th, Nolan went on a boating trip with friends to Horn Island, off Mississippi's Gulf Coast. At some point during the trip, Nolan became separated from the group. His friends returned without him. A search followed. 2 days later, Nolan's body was recovered near the island. His death immediately raised questions. Authorities said they suspected drowning and initially reported no indication of a crime. But the cause and manner of death remained unresolved. A private autopsy commissioned by Nolan's family also listed the cause and manner of death as undetermined pending further investigation. The state medical examiner's results had not been publicly released as of August 19. And because the investigation remained active, officials continued to urge caution about conclusions surrounding what happened to Nolan. That distinction matters. There are questions. There are theories. There are things the family wants answered. But unanswered questions are not the same thing as proven facts. And that is where Nolan's story stood as his 19th birthday arrived. August 19th was supposed to sound different. There should have been a phone call. There should have been laughter. There should have been a birthday cake. There should have been Nolan. Instead, his parents were surrounded by photographs, supporters and people praying for their family. During a virtual prayer vigil, Nolan's mother, Christine Wonsley, spoke through tears. She described Nolan as an incredible person and explained how deeply his loss had affected their family. Then she asked people to continue praying for them, especially on his birthday. Her words were not about speculation. They were about grief. They were about a mother missing her son. And they were about a family trying to move through a day that should have been joyful.
Because on July the 4th, we lost a son, a brother, a grandson, a nephew, a cousin, a friend, and a student athlete. You are so many things to so many people, but to me, you will, and you are still just my number. Birthdays and life in general will look different now that you are gone. And I'm not going to lie, that light that burned in me is a little more dim. And this pain that we have is insurmountable. Nolan, you're truly a light. And I don't think you realize what an impact you were on other people. The kindness.
Nolan's father, Elmore Wonsley, also described the birthday as an especially difficult day. He spoke about missing his son's voice. Missing his presence. Missing the everyday things that once seemed ordinary. Because sometimes it is the ordinary things that become the hardest to live without. Later that day, at the vigil in Biloxi, Christine spoke publicly about Nolan. And one of her most emotional moments came when she described something every parent can understand. She said that on the morning of Nolan's birthday, she had to fight the urge to FaceTime him and sing her off-tune Happy Birthday song. A son who should have been standing beside his parents as they celebrated his 19th birthday. But he wasn't there. Instead, August 19th became a national day of prayer for Nolan. Faith leaders and supporters joined the Wonsley family, praying for strength, clarity and answers. The gathering took place at Greater St. John AME Church in Biloxi. Hundreds of people came together. Some prayed. Some held signs. Some carried photographs of Nolan. And others simply stood beside his parents. The message from the family and their supporters was not that they had already solved the mystery. It was that they wanted the truth. Reverend Al Sharpton, who has supported the family, emphasized that the family was not accusing anyone. He said their position had been clear from the beginning. They want the truth. That distinction was important. Because as Nolan's story spread across social media, speculation surrounding his death grew. But inside the church, the focus was different. It was on Nolan. His family. His life. And the search for answers. Then came one of the most heartbreaking moments of the evening. A birthday cake was brought out. Balloons were presented to Nolan's parents. And the crowd began singing Happy Birthday. Imagine that moment. A church filled with people. A cake sitting in front of Nolan's parents. Candles representing a birthday that should have belonged to their son. And instead of Nolan blowing them out himself, Christine and Elmore Wonsley blew out the candles. Nolan would have been 19. But his parents were left to celebrate his birthday without him. For a moment, the investigation disappeared. The unanswered questions disappeared. There was only a family mourning their son, and a community reminding them that they were not alone. It is easy when a story becomes a major investigation to focus only on what happened. What happened on July 4th? What happened after Nolan became separated from his friends? How did he end up in the water? Why did he die? And will investigators eventually determine exactly what happened? Those questions matter. But Nolan's birthday reminded everyone that there was another question worth asking. Who was Nolan? He was more than the circumstances surrounding his death. He was an athlete, a student, a son, a friend, a young man whose life had not reached the point where it should have ended. He should have had more birthdays, more football seasons, more conversations with his parents, more opportunities, more memories. Instead, his family is now creating memories without him. As of August 19th, the investigation into Nolan's death remained ongoing. The Jackson County District Attorney said the case would be presented to a grand jury after what she described as a thorough, complete and fair investigation. The fact that a grand jury is involved does not itself mean that a crime has been established. And authorities have continued to caution against drawing conclusions before the investigation is complete.
Waiting on the truth to come out. Still waiting on as much accurate information as we can get. We're going to work this investigation thoroughly and professionally and provide updated results as soon as we can put them out.
For Nolan's family, however, waiting for answers has become part of their grief. They are asking for transparency. They are asking for clarity. And they want to understand how their son went from celebrating the 4th of July with friends to becoming the subject of an investigation into his death.
The last time we actually spoke with local authorities, which would be the Sheriff's Department, was I think a day or two after his body was found. That was only initiated by me. I sent him a text message. I was like, hey, this is Christine, Nolan's mom. I just want to see if there are any updates. Basically, he called back, there were no updates. He's like, we're still interviewing. And again, my concern, and also my husband's concern, was it was not even an hour that his body had been removed. And the sheriff came out and said, this is, accidental drowning. We don't think there's foul play. Again, that is why we're doing what we're doing and why we're moving the way we are. Because I sat there and asked them, please take this case as if this is your child, yes, your family member, your whatever. And they promised that they would, but when you make statements like that straight out the gate, that's an issue. We did meet with the DA. She did promise, transparency and all of this, all of that. However, damage has already been done because now that's the narrative that's being pushed by the general public, who again, know nothing really, only what they're hearing from other people. So in addition to that, it's all these things coming up. And at the end of the day, like I said before, any parent that would be in this situation, you would do anything to find out what happened to your child. And that is what we're here to do.
On August 19th, Nolan Wells should have been celebrating his 19th birthday. Instead, his parents stood before a crowd and remembered the boy they loved. Christine remembered the hugs, the voice, the "I love you, Mom." Elmore remembered his son's presence. And hundreds of people came together to say Nolan's name. Nolan Wells. A name that his family does not want forgotten. A life that should have continued. A birthday that should have been filled with laughter. Instead, August 19th became a day of prayer. A day of remembrance. And a day when a grieving family once again asked for answers. The investigation continued. The questions remain. But on his 19th birthday, one thing was clear. Nolan was loved. Nolan was remembered. And his family continues to carry his memory forward. Happy heavenly 19th birthday, Nolan Wells. May your memory never be forgotten. And to Christine, Elmore, and everyone who loved Nolan, may you continue to find strength as you search for the truth. This is the dark evidence. And sometimes, before we ask what happened to someone, we have to remember who they were. Rest peacefully, Nolan.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? Now! Justice for who? Nolan Wells! Justice for who? Nolan Wells!
July 4th, fireworks painted up the sky, while one mama prayed a baby would be home by morning light. He left, he climbed aboard that little boat, never thinking trust could leave him further than that shoreline goes. Everybody made it back, except the one with melanin. Now a mother's left with questions that the silence answers with. Tell me how you lose your brother, then go quiet like nothing changed. How you carry on tomorrow when forever wears his name. A phone won't ring, a bedroom stays untouched. A mother keeps replaying every I love you too much. If this was your son, would just believe us ever be enough?